Greetings and salutations, everyone. Will back again. Happy Monday to you all. Just want to let you know a few of the technical difficulties I've been having are still slightly present. All of the videos should be up by now. Everything up to chapter 14, which is what we're reading today, should be up on the Facebook group. So I apologize for the delay in getting those up. Again, Facebook has not been my friend. But yeah, we're going to continue to dive in today to chapter 14. This is a little bit of a longer one, so I'm going to not talk anymore, and I'm just going to start reading, okay? It was now 2 days before the Passover celebration and the festival of unleavened bread. The leading priests and teachers of religious law were still looking for an opportunity to capture Jesus secretly and put him to death. But not during the Passover, they agreed, or there would be a riot. Meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had leprosy. During supper, a woman came in with a beautiful jar of expensive perfume. She broke the seal and poured the perfume over his head. Some of those that were at the table were indignant. Why was this expensive perfume wasted? They asked. You could have sold it for a small fortune and given the money to the poor. And they scolded her harshly, but Jesus replied, Leave her alone. Why berate her for doing such a good thing for me? You will always have the poor among you, and you can help them whenever you want. But I will not be here much longer. She has done what she could, and has anointed my body for burial ahead of time. I assure you, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be talked about in her memory. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the leading priests and arranged to betray Jesus to them. The leading priests were delighted when they heard why he had come, and they promised him a reward. So they began looking for the right time and place to betray. So he began to look for the right time and place to betray Jesus. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the day the Passover lamb was sacrificed, Jesus' disciples asked him, Where do you want to go to prepare the Passover supper? So Jesus sent 2 of them into Jerusalem to make arrangements. As you go into the city, he told them, a man carrying a pitcher of water will meet you. Follow him. At his house, enter and say to the owner, The teacher asks, where is the guest room where he can eat the Passover meal with his disciples? He will take you to an upstairs large room that has already been set up. This is the place. Go ahead and prepare the supper there. So the 2 disciples went ahead into the city and found everything just as Jesus had said, and they prepared the Passover. In the evening, Jesus arrived with the 12 disciples. As they were sitting around a table eating, Jesus said, The truth is, one of you will betray me, one of you who are eating with me here now. Greatly distressed, one by one, they began to ask him, I am not the one, am I? Jesus replied, It is one of you 12, one of you who are eating with me now. For the Son of Man must die, as the Scriptures declared long ago. But how terrible it will be for my betrayer, far better for him that he was never born. As they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread and asked God to bless it. Then he broke it into pieces and gave it to his disciples, saying, Take and eat, for this is my body. Then he took the cup of wine and gave thanks to God for it, and he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. Then he said to them, This is my blood, poured out for many for sealing the covenant between people and God. I solemnly declare that I will not drink wine again until I drink it new in the kingdom of God. Then they sang a hymn and went to the Mount of Olives. All of you will desert me, Jesus told them, for the Scriptures say, God will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. But after I am raised from the dead, I will go ahead of you to Galilee and meet you there. Peter said to him, Even if everyone else deserts you, I never will. Peter, Jesus replied, The truth is that this very night before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. No, Peter insisted, not even if I have to die with you. I will never deny you. And the others vowed the same. Then they came to the olive grove called Gethsemane, and Jesus said, Sit here a while I go to pray. Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him, and he began to be filled with horror and deep distress. He told them, My soul is crushed with the grief to the point of death. Stay here and watch with me. Then he went a little farther and fell face down to the ground. He prayed that if it were possible, the awful hour awaiting him might pass him by. Abba, Father, he said, Everything is possible with you. Please take this cup of suffering away from me. Yet I want your will, not mine." Then he returned and found the disciples asleep. "Simon," he said to Peter, "are you asleep? Could you not stay awake and watch with me for even 1 hour? Keep alert and pray, otherwise temptation will overpower you. For though the spirit is willing, the body is weak." Then Jesus left again and prayed, repeating his pleadings. Again he returned to them and found them sleeping, for they just could not keep their eyes open. And they didn't know what to say. When he returned to them for a third time, he said, "Still sleeping? Still resting? Enough. The time has come. I, the Son of Man, must am betrayed into the hands of sinners. Up. Let's be going. See, my betrayer is here." And immediately, as he said this, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived with a mob that were armed with swords and clubs. They had been sent out by the leading priests and teachers of religious law and the other leaders. Judas had given them a prearranged signal. "You will know the one you are to arrest when I go over and give him the kiss of greeting. Then you can take him away under guard." As soon as they arrived, Judas walked up to Jesus. "Teacher," he exclaimed, and gave him a kiss. Then the others grabbed Jesus and arrested him. But someone pulled out a sword and slashed the ear off one of the high priest's servants. Jesus asked them, "Am I some dangerous criminal that you come armed with swords and clubs to arrest me? Why didn't you arrest me in the temple? I was there teaching every day. But these things are happening to fulfill what the scriptures say about me." Meanwhile, all the disciples deserted him and ran away, a young man following behind them, clothed in only a linen nightshirt. When the mob tried to grab him, they tore off his clothes, and he escaped and ran away naked. Jesus was led to the high priest's home, where the leading priests and other leaders and teachers of religious law had gathered. Meanwhile, Peter followed far behind and slipped inside the gates of the high priest's courtyard. For a while he sat with the guards, warming himself by the fire. Inside, the leading priests and the entire high council were trying to find witnesses who would testify against Jesus, so they could put him to death, but their efforts were in vain. Many false witnesses spoke up against him, but they contradicted each other. Finally, some men stood up and testified against him with this lie. "I heard him say, 'I will destroy the temple made by human hands, and in 3 days I will build another made without human hands.'" But even they didn't get their story straight. Then the high priest stood up before the others and asked Jesus, "Why aren't you going to answer these charges? What do you have to say for yourself?" Jesus made no reply. Then the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the blessed God?" Jesus said, "I am. And you will see me, the Son of Man, sitting at God's right hand in this place of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothing to show his horror and said, "Why do you need other witnesses? You have all heard his blasphemy. What is your verdict?" And they condemned him to death. Then some began to spit at him, and they blindfolded him and hit him in the face with their fists. "Who hit you that time, you prophet?" they jeered. Even the guards were hitting him as they led him away. Meanwhile, Peter was below in the courtyard. One of the other servant girls who was working for the high priest noticed Peter warming himself by the fire. She looked at him closely and then said, "You're one of those with Jesus of Nazareth." Peter denied it. "I do not know what you're talking about," he said. And he went out to the entryway just as the rooster crowed. The servant girl saw him standing there and began telling others, "That man is definitely one of them." And Peter denied it again. A little later, some other bystanders were beginning to saying to Peter, "You must be one of them because you are also from Galilee." Peter said, "I swear by God, I do not know the man that you are talking about." And immediately the rooster crowed for a second time. Suddenly Jesus' words flashed through Peter's mind. "Before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And he broke down and cried. So as we're reading through this, there was a lot of really good stuff in here, a lot of very memorable stuff, but 2 questions arose for me. The first is when we see Jesus in the garden. where he's pleading with God, God, if there's any way for this cup of suffering to pass me by, please take this away from me. But then he says, not my will be done, but yours. Jesus knew that this was the only way for God's plan to come to fruition. The only way for us to be in right relationship with God and for our sins to be forgiven was for him to pay those penalties. And he was willing to do it knowing that it was God's will, not his. But my question is this. There are many times in life where we try to distinguish what's our will and what's God's. And that's my question. How do you try to determine what's your will and what's God's will? One of the things I heard once that stuck out to me was, especially if it's something that you don't want to do, if you keep feeling like you should do it, that's probably God talking and not you. But that's my question. How do we determine God's will in our lives? And my second question is this. Throughout the arrest of Jesus and his trial, you have people lying about him, you have people yelling at him, you have people pulling out swords and clubs. These are very chaotic and hectic situations. But throughout all of it, we see Jesus with this almost divine sense of calm about him. And my second question is this. In those times where life is chaotic and crazy and all this stuff is going around, how do we maintain calm? I know throughout these last few weeks, these videos have helped me keep a sense of calm. They've given me something that I do each day. But yeah, that's my question, is how do we keep a sense of calm in amongst chaos? So let's pray, folks. Father God, we thank you. We thank you that you sent your Son and he paid the penalty that we were all supposed to pay. God, we ask you to show us your will in our lives. And we ask you to help us keep a sense of calm, even when things seem to be spiraling out of control around us. Be with us today. Be with us this week. God, as we look to this weekend celebrating the death and resurrection of your Son. God, it might look different than normal, but we thank you for what this week represents. Jesus coming into Jerusalem to enact his final mission. It's in your Son's holy and precious name we pray. Amen. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I'm hoping that Monday the 6th is when this video appears on Facebook. But if not, whenever you see it, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And until tomorrow, I will see you all later. Take care.